Hey kids, it's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to the next edition of Bike News, the monthly look back at all that's been going on in the world of motorcycles, well, according to MCN at least, here in the UK. This time, it's for the month of February 2025. So, welcome back to Bike News, folks. Sorry there wasn't one last month, but that was because I was away actually in Spain for a little while, and you may have seen some of the videos that I made while I was there. If not, you go and check them out. Anyway, without further ado, let's crack on with the news. Loads of stories to get through because I have been away. 4 MCNs to catch up with, and about, well, it looks like about 18 stories. So grab yourself a brew. This may go on a bit. Right, first story then here. Need for speed, it says. Triumph's 2025 Speed Triple 1200 RS packs more BHP and electronics Olin suspension. It says here, a new Triumph Speed Triple 1200 RS set to arrive in dealerships from April 2025 is priced at $17,495. Now, I absolutely love the look of the Speed Triple. I haven't ridden this latest one. I hope I will get a chance to. Triumph are masters of the triple, aren't they? And I'm also a massive fan of the Street Triple. These two bikes often get confused, I've found in the press in the past, or people confuse the two. But the Speed Triple doesn't seem to get quite the plaudits that the Street Triple gets. The Street Triple, light, agile, a bit cheaper, all that sort of thing. But I think these latest generations of Speed Triple have been up there with the Street Triple in terms of fun factor. It'll be interesting to see what this new one is like. It absolutely looks a corker to me. What else does it say here? It says updated for Euro 5 Plus, pushes out a claimed 180 0.5 brake horsepower, so loads of power. It's been given advanced semi-active Olin smart EC3 suspension at the front and rear, an updated set of electronics, including independently adjustable wheelie control. So got to keep that power under control with something. There's a huge update to the engine tune, apparently, and overall the weight is up by a kilo, which isn't good, but it's 199 kilograms ready to ride, apparently, and it looks an absolute corker. Why don't we see more of these around? Maybe it's the price, $17,495 on the road. Comes on sale in April, it should be in the dealers. So, yeah, I'll let me know if you'd like to see this on the channel. I'd certainly like a go on it. If there's enough interest, I'll see if Triumph will lend me one. All right, next up in this paper, and it's on the same page as another Triumph story, Retro Beauty cut from range. And I have to say, this is no surprise. We're talking here about the Speed Triple 1200 RR. Do you remember this was released to great fanfare a couple of years back? I did borrow one of these for a couple of weeks on a press load. I absolutely loved its looks and its build quality, but by goodness me, it was the most uncomfortable bike I've ridden for a long time. It was up there with the BMW Racer, the R9T Racer that they did, which also looked great, but it was also incredibly uncomfortable. And fun enough, was also cut from the range. And I remember predicting in my video that this one wouldn't last long, and it turns out to be the case. It says here, only launched back in springtime 2022, around a year after the previous incarnation of the Speed Triple RS Naked was revealed. The 17950 Retro will not be updated to meet Euro 5 Plus emissions regulations. By the way, if you do fancy one of these, and it might be a good time to buy one now, you can get them for a lot less than that 18 grand asking price. There's big discounts to be had in dealers on these. A number of Speed RRs can currently be found in dealers. Oh, here we go. With very few miles on the clock and thousands slashed from the price, making them an absolute bargain. So yeah, now's the time to get one if you did fancy one. But be warned, they are flipping uncomfortable. Don't be planning long tours on them. I think you might have a nasty surprise if you do that. Right, next story. Bad news, I'm afraid. This is the KTM story, which continues. Not looking good. Stefan Piera steps back. KTM and Piera Mobility CEO hands over the controls as financial difficulties continue. So it's a very sad story. This says here, Stefan Piera is stepping back from his role as CEO of both KTM AG and parent company Piera Mobility AG as a result of the financial crisis engulfing the ready-to-race brand. Although continuing as a member of the board, Piera will be replaced by Gottfried Neumeister. He said the decision to hand over the helm was not an easy one. Oh no, actually this is Piera speaking. The decision to hand over the helm was not an easy one. I'm deeply convinced that Gottfried Neumeister, with his strategic foresight and commitment, is the right choice to lead KTM into the future. I wonder if that's really what he thought, or whether he was told to say that. Who knows? KTM AG should have sufficient liquid funds to carry on until the end of the 8th week of the year. Well, I'm filming this on the 24th of February, Monday, and it's saying carry on to the 8th. Well, it must be pretty damn close to the 8th week of the year, isn't it? It says here, a redevelopment plan meeting is set for Tuesday, February the 25th. So that's tomorrow as I record this. So that meeting will have happened by the time you see this. I wonder what will be in the news then. No doubt we'll report back on bike news next time, so stay tuned for that. Right, next story I picked out here. Ditch the dirt. Harley-Davidson give 2025 Pan America a road-only refresh with 17-inch front wheel. Now, these Pan Americas, do you remember these? When they came out, I thought it was the most disgusting looking adventure bike I'd ever seen. That crown has since been taken by the new BMW GS Adventure, which I just cannot, no matter what people say, I cannot get to like it, unfortunately. Sure, it rides brilliant, but looks horrible. And suddenly these Harleys are starting to look a bit more attractive, aren't they? They brought out this new road-going version that doesn't have any pretenses of going off-road, because let's face it, heavy old bike off-road wouldn't be a lot of fun. But I have to say, when I rode the standard bike before, I actually loved the way it rode. Again, you can get bargains on the standard bike like this. Anyway, let's read about this updated one. It says here, Harley-Davidson have come up with the 16995, so 17 grand Pan America ST for 2025, effectively a 17-inch wheel-equipped road-focused version of their globe-trotting adventure bike. Now, 17 grand is, of course, a lot of money, but when you buy these Harleys, you get them fully equipped. It's not like when you buy a KTM or a BMW and you have to add all the extras on and they give you a base price and you end up spending, 25 grand. So this actually, I think, is pretty good value. It says here, the ST gets shorter travel springs at both ends, which in combination with the smaller front wheel, lowers the centre of gravity and drops the seat height to a claimed 825 millimetres, which is quite low for an adventure bike. Up front, a Showa balance-free 47mm forks, while out backs it's a Showa balance-free monoshock. Both feature electronically adjustable preload, manually adjustable compression and rebound damping. The 1252cc liquid-cooled 60-degree V-twin motor powering the new ST is the same Revolution Max unit fitted across Harley's other more dirt-centric version of the Pan America platform, puts out a claimed 149 brake horsepower. It's a lovely engine. Harley fans don't like it because it's not a classic Harley engine, of course, liquid-cooled. It looks beautiful. It looks like a work of art, and it's lovely and smooth. It's a lovely engine, I think. Likewise, the frame, bodywork, and the majority of electronics go unchanged and carry over from the existing machine. So if you do like the look of that, worth checking those out if you've no intention of going off-road. And I don't think I'll be going off-road with such a big and heavy bike. But as I say, when I rode it, I'll put a link in the corner if I can remember, on the standard bike. I was surprised how well it rode. I think I said it was the best riding Harley I've ever been on, and I stand by that. It is great, but it's not a classic Harley, of course, in the usual sense. Harley fans aren't massively fans of it, I don't think. All right, last story in this first paper. Tiger targets bigger prey. Now, this, again, is a long-awaited bike. This is the Tiger Sport 800, something I'm really looking forward to riding. I used to have a Triumph Tiger 1050, which looks superficially a bit similar. It had the big old triple 1050cc engine. Loved that bike. Do miss it in some ways, I must say. It was a little bit top-heavy, though, and that's something I think this bike isn't going to suffer with. It says here, the Tiger Sport 660 is one of the most humble, simple machines to win MCN's Bike of the Year in recent times. Low on frills, high on fun factor, practicality and value. The straightforward all-rounder charms us every time we ride. The new 800 repeats the same tricks, but in a higher spec package, which makes it more potent, useful, and a compelling tool for the more experienced rider. So, what's not to like here? When I rode the 660, the smaller version of this, which looks basically exactly the same, I really loved it. I thought the triple was exciting. It sounded great. It was nice and light. It was agile. Great weather protection. I think if you've no interest in an adventure style bike, then this would probably be the sort of bike to have a close look at. I'd certainly be interested even in the 660. I say even. I mean, it was a great bike. The 800 will be more, compelling, as it says here. The new engine sounds familiar too. It's another 120-degree phase triple rather than the T-plane concept favoured on the dual sport Tigers, which I'm so glad to see Triumph have done this. Do you remember on the off-roady Tiger 800s and now the Tiger 900s, they changed the pulsing of the engine to make it more useful off-road, and I always argued that actually not many people take them off-road anyway, and it no longer sounded like a triple and took away a lot of the fun, that whistle. Some people hate that triple sound. I like it, and I think it's a bit of a signature of Triumph bikes. So thrilled to hear they've got that back. Where do you stand on that? You with me? Some people hate it. I love the sound of a proper triple. It says here, the 660's 81 brake horsepower was adequate, but the 800's hike to 113 brake horsepower gives it instant feel of greater substance. And I've seen a few of the launch videos on this. I'm sure you have too. People that went to the official press launch, and they said that the bike immediately felt more agile. So looking forward to having a go on this. The extra pull is delivered right from the bottom of the rev range. It's a very different feel to the 765 variant used in the street triple, which thrives on more revs. So, kind of hinting that this feels more sprightly than the street triple at road sorts of speeds. So, well, that would be amazing if it does, isn't it? Because the speed triple is a fantastic machine, of course. So, yeah, and it looks good in the yellow as well. I have asked Triumph for an early loan. No dates yet set, but hopefully I'll get a go on the new Tiger Sport 800 very soon indeed. Alrighty, that's it for the first paper. Right, next up then, what have we got here? KTM sell-off MV stake. So more on the KTM woes. This, I think, is a slightly better story, perhaps, particularly if you're an MV Agusta fan. Says here, KTM's parent company, Piero Mobility AG, have sold their 50.1% majority stake in MV Agusta, returning control of the boutique Italian brand to former CEO Timur Sardarov. The MV Agusta sell-off comes as part of KTM's ongoing financial reorganisation. This is a moment of pride for all of us at MV Agusta, Timur Sardarov said. Regaining full control of the company means that we are now stronger and more focused than ever on delivering excellence. Now, I understand, I can't remember where I heard this, I might have read it or somebody might have said it on a YouTube video somewhere, that MV Agusta are doing pretty well as a standalone brand. They did well last year, made good money. So compared to KTM, they as a standalone brand, they actually probably could be okay, could survive. It says here, according to MV themselves, all of their 219 global dealers and 41 service centres will continue with business as usual. The number of dealers is also predicted to rise to 270 by the end of 2025. So massive expansion of the dealerships. Across 2024, the company sold 4,000 motorcycles, resulting in an annual growth rate of 116% compared to 2023. So they're doing something right at MV Agusta. It looks like they're going to be saved, and if KTM is going down, they ain't taking MV with them. So it's good news for MV Agusta fans. Let's hope KTM's not going down, by the way, but I can't see how they're going to pull this one out of the bag, but you never know. Right, next up, story here, close to my heart. Honda Goldwing, a bike I absolutely love. I've mentioned before on Bike News that it's the 50th anniversary year, and we've all been waiting for some sort of 50th anniversary edition. Well, Honda have now come up with one, but I have to say, I'm left feeling a little bit meh. Not a great deal has been changed. It's had a few little upgrades, some new paint schemes, and that's about it. So a little bit disappointed with that. Let me read you what it says, and then I'll tell you what I think. It says here, Honda have given their flagship tour of the GL 1800 Goldwing a light update to celebrate its golden anniversary. 2 new paint finishes with unique badging, big deal, helping the 124.7 brake horsepower engine to meet new Euro 5 regulations is an additional O2 sensor and tweaks to the ECU settings. Goldwing emblem on the key and 7-inch, well, it had a Goldwing emblem on the key anyway. 7-inch TFT display featuring a 50th anniversary since 1975 emblem. Again, just a bit of programming, no big deal. Tweaks have been made to the audio technology on board with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto available. Now, this is a good thing, wireless Apple CarPlay, alongside the new speaker system, which should mean better audio at motorway speeds. Well, personally, I never use the inbuilt speakers anymore. I've got no interest in listening to music while I'm on the road. But I do use Apple CarPlay on the Goldwing because it's just fantastic, obviously, for navigation. So that is the one change on the 50th anniversary bike I would like. Now, I've got a way, I think, of possibly getting wireless Apple CarPlay on my Goldwing. More on that in the next few weeks. I've got a gadget coming. I'm hoping it's going to solve that for me. So you don't need to go out, upgrade your Goldwing if you've got a post-2018 one and buy this just for wireless CarPlay. You can do it much cheaper than shelling out the, 32 grand or whatever it is for this bike. All that said, I'm not having to go at the Goldwing. It is a fantastic bike. I've yet to come across a better touring machine. 2-up comfort. Absolutely fantastic bike. One of the new colour schemes, by the way, is this Wooden Wonder type one. Not sure it's for me, but it's very Americana. Don't know what you think of that. Let me know in the comments below. Alrighty. Next story, practical magic, fast, fruity fun, and effortlessly capable of big miles. But which old school sports tourer is best? Pitting here, the Kawasaki Ninja 1100 SX SE, a bike I know quite well. I had one in recently. You may have seen my videos on that. Against the Suzuki GSX S1000 GT. And I rode the Suzuki, I don't think it was the S1000 GT. It may have been when it first came out a year or two ago, probably only a year ago now. The Suzuki is a little bit cheaper than the Kawasaki. I personally way prefer the Kawasaki. I prefer the way the Kawasaki looks. I prefer the way the Kawasaki rides. Let's see what MCN's verdict was. If I can get to it. Perfectly matured, it says here, and this is John Urry that's talking. The Ninja 1100 SX is a perfect example of a motorcycle that has matured into a polished performer. Next to the GT, it feels more refined with none of the Suzuki's rough edges. Completely agree with John there. I'd pick the Kawasaki over the Suzuki for a sporty tour bike, I'm assuming he means, simply because its refined nature makes it easier going. Is the Ninja the very best sports tourer? I like to do a back-to-back with the Yamaha Tracer 9 GT. Yeah, the Tracer 9 is again a fantastic bike. I said, I think in my video on that, I said, why do you need a GS when you could buy that? It is a beautiful bike to ride. But the new Tracer 9 is a bit challenging in the looks department. I think the Kawasaki Ninja certainly looks more traditional, and I like that over the MTO 9. The Tracer 9. Anyway, so MCN agree with me on that. Kawasaki is the one to have. In fact, they give them the Kawasaki 5 stars and they give them the Suzuki 4 stars. So, I'm in agreement with them there. All right, second paper done. We're whizzing through them. Next up, back in the Brits. Do you remember these? This is Langen. Do you remember the company from up north here in Britain that did that two-stroke bike a couple of years ago? I remember I rode next to it going up the hill at Goodwood Festival of Speed. Must have been 3 or 4 years ago now. It sounded and smelt amazing. You know, they've come up with a new bike now. It needs some crowdfunding to get it going. So we'll see if this turns out to be just on the drawing board or whether it gets going. But it does look incredible. And I do love that these sorts of bikes exist, although I have no chance of ever owning one given the likely pricing. Let's read what it says. Langen Motorcycles have announced big plans for future expansion, teasing a turbocharged version of their incoming Lightspeed muscle cruiser. Well, that's going to be quite a thing, isn't it? The Wigan-based brand shot to stardom when they launched their 250cc V-twin two-stroke naked in 2022. Langen say they now have plans to achieve stringent European Euro 5 Plus homologation to allow them to sell bikes in the rest of the continent. Currently, the firm's two-stroke models reach the road through motorcycle single vehicle approval process, which limits the number they can make. I think it used to be something like they could make 200 a year or something. Anyway, looks like they're going to make this a proper production bike. Langen are now inviting members of the public to become shareholders with a funding round due to start this month. So good luck to Langen on raising the cash for that. Let's hope they do get the cash together for it. I don't know whether they will or not, but it certainly looks a beast, doesn't it? It looks like a nice machine. And yeah, good luck to Langen with that one. Doesn't say how much it is, actually, does it? Oh, here we go. It says here, it's powered by an LS12. It is called the LS12, and it's going to be powered by an 1190cc Rotax V-twin, the same motor found in Buell's latest range. It's 185 kilograms dry, and it starts at £37,000 plus VAT. So that's going to be what, ending up 45 grand? 45 grand for that bike. Not going to be selling bucket loads, are they? Maybe they should have stuck with single vehicle approval. Anyway, good luck to Langen. Love to see one at some point. Right, from one extreme to the other. Beautiful simplicity. Watch out, Enfield. New Honda GB350S delivers big retro thrills for just $3,949. I'm thrilled that Honda are getting on board with producing some more value for money bikes. I've been putting up videos recently, you may have seen on my channel, of the new Honda Hornet CB1000. The SP is the one I've got. Great bike, sub 10 grand, absolute winner. Good to see that Honda are listening to the audience and, or buyers, I should say, and saying that they, or actually producing some bikes that seem to be much better value for money. This is one, $3,949 for the GB350S, a funky looking retro style bike, right up my street this. Honda's pricing strategy has taken a generous turn lately, but best of all is this, the retro inspired GB350S at less than 4 grand. Made in Japan, the GB is a simple, feel-good, air-cooled single that makes an A2 license-friendly 21 brake horsepower. So it ain't going to be, winning many races, but I imagine it is a great fun to ride. And it's up against things like the 400s from Triumph, of course, and the Royal Enfield 350s. The 348cc fuel-injected thumper has 2 balanced shafts for smoothness, but retains its pulsing character with a chirpy, albeit muted, paff-paff engine note. It has a crisp 5-speed gearbox, light action slip and assist clutch, and decent fuel economy. Even better than the way it rides is the way it's screwed together. Build quality is superb, and it comes with ABS and traction control. Trump's 5,195 Speed 400 and the 3,979 Royal Enfield Hunter, or HNTR as we call it in the UK, are its closest rivals. Interesting. I love the little Triumphs. I think the build quality on those was fantastic and they look good, but significantly more expensive. I'd love a go on the Honda. Again, I've asked Honda when I can have a go on one of these, and hopefully as soon as they've got them on the fleet, on the press fleet, and as soon as schedules align, I'll get one of those in for a go. If you've got any questions on it, let me know, and I'll get them answered when I get a go on the Honda GB350S. It's been for sale in other markets for some time, by the way, and we lamented, didn't we, a year or two back when it came out that it wasn't for sale in the UK. Well, again, Honda listened. It's now for sale in the UK. I think they're going to sell bucket loads. Next. Again, it's completely different bike. Taming the Beast. What is it really like living with a Panigale V4S, Ducati's most refined road sports bike to date? Now, I love a Panigale, me. I think over the period that Panigale has existed, and I think it came out first in around about probably 2013-ish, I'd like to say, maybe 2012. I think those early bikes looked the best of all of them, and now it's grown fins, it's got a bit bloated looking. It doesn't look quite as beautiful as it did, but it's still a lovely thing, isn't it? And the V4, what an absolute beast. 213 brake horsepower. Way too much power for me on the road. But it's got incredible sophisticated electronics. And people that know about this sort of stuff say that it makes it a really easy bike to ride, flattering to ride on track. Absolutely incredible bit of kit. I'm glad it exists, but it is a 30 grand motorcycle. Let's see what the verdict is. Let's hope it's Nevesy writing. Let's see. No, it's not. Never mind. It's John Hurry. He's good. He'll do. Sorry, John. It says here, it seems a strange thing to say about a sports bike. But it isn't the Panigale V4's outright performance that leaves you so impressed. It's the newfound compliance, as this is the factor that allows you to actually exploit the mind-bending power and handling on offer. Far less aggressive than before, the updated chassis adds a welcome element of ease that stops the Panigale feeling like it's protesting at every bump on the road, rather than being on a smooth racetrack. As many Panigale owners tend to stick to the road, this is a very important moment in the evolution of the Ducati sports bike. Yes, it certainly hasn't lost sight of the fact it needs to perform on track. It's an easier going road bike and faster track day bike. What more could you ask for, aside from maybe a fuel gauge? And of course, Panigales infamously don't have fuel gauges. When I spoke to a Ducati technical guy about this, he said it was to do with the shape of the tank on them. It meant it was very difficult to get accurate fuel gauge readings. So that's interesting. So none of them ever had it, until the V2, of which we'll talk more later. So anyway, John Hurry's a fan of the V4S, as am I, but 30 grand, I'm probably going to give that one a miss, but I would love a go on one. Right, next up here, I've picked up the feature that's in every MCN. I don't often talk about it here on Bike News, but it's called Expert Guide 2. And they'll pick a category of bikes secondhand and talk about them. And the reason why I've gone for this one is because this one's an expert guide to unsung heroes. And it so happens a couple of bikes on here I've owned. So first off, Yamaha XJ6 Diversion F, which was around from 2009 to 2016. I actually had, this was my first big bike. I bought the XJ6 Diversion, I think it was called the S, actually, which was the half-faired one. I thought at the time it looked amazing, and it did. It still looks good to me. It was a four-cylinder. It was lovely and smooth. That's why I bought that over the then Kawasaki ER6, which was its direct rival. Anyway, I only had the bike for about 6 months and then sold it on. The guy that bought it from me got an absolute bargain. It was immaculate, had a few miles on it, full luggage, and it was half the price I paid for it new. Anyway, I still love the bike. It says here, the XJ6 Diversion F uses a retuned R6 motor to great effect. Easy going and cheap to run. The Divi has a lovely light clutch action and a sensible amount of sporting potential. Yeah, nice bike. If you can find one of them and you're in the market for maybe a first big bike or just a practical commuter, XJ6 Diversion, very nice indeed. And then the other one they've got here, which is a bike I mentioned earlier, the Triumph Tiger 1050. Well, this is the 1050 Sport. I had the one that predated this. I just had the standard 1050. Lovely bike, big trailer, unusual styling, but it appealed to me. Still appeals to me. It's a shame that Triumph don't still make this. Maybe now they've got the Tiger 660 and the 800. Maybe they'll bring out a 1050 version with slightly updated styling. That would be great. It says here, featuring a single-sided swing arm and a high-level exhaust, the Tiger 1050 Sport is a fantastic, big supermoto that's practical, sporty, and heaps of fun. I would agree with that. Fantastic bike. The only thing that let it down for me was it was quite top-heavy and quite tall. If you're a smaller chap like me, quite difficult to move around the garage, and that's one of the reasons why I chopped it in and bought my GS, which is what I've had ever since. Alrighty, last paper before we get on to a bit of parish notices. First story here, the X Factor. Ducati add to their cruiser lineup with muscular new Diavel V4. Now, the V4 engine, of course, is making its way through the range for Ducati, and it was only a matter of time until it made it to the XDiavel, which is a bike that looks absolutely beautiful. And I rode the previous one, the V-twin version, a few years back, had a press loan of that. I loved the way it looked. Exotic, gave you that Ducati feeling, but my goodness me, again, was it uncomfortable? Your feet were a little bit forward, too far forward for my liking. The seat wasn't that comfy, and on a longer ride, it just got you in the coccyx, you know. So definitely one just to take from cafe to cafe. Don't think about going touring. Certainly my conclusion on that. I don't imagine the V4 will be any different, but it's a lovely looking thing. They've made a few design changes. The wheels look a bit different, and obviously it's got the V4 engine in. Let's hear what it says here. Available in dealerships from May, the new XDiavel V4 supersedes the 1260 model. It also ditches the Testastretta V-twin in favour of the 1158 Gran Turismo. Peak power and torque climbed to 166 brake horsepower, which is 10 brake horsepower more than before. Not sure if you notice it. Moved to 4 cylinders also stretches service intervals with an oil change every 15,000 kilometres or 2 years. And the costly valve clearance inspection is now every 37,000 miles, so cheaper to run. The motor and chassis alterations have stripped away 6 kilograms of weight. That's good news. Suspension gains 25 mm of travel at both ends. The wheels are new. They're even more showy now, moving away from the old 10-spoke ones. What else? The marks up and down quick shifter comes as standard, as does extended rear cylinder deactivation. Very clever feature that, where below certain revs you only get the front cylinders firing. Also, not only is it good for fuel economy, it keeps you a bit cooler, because let's face it, Ducati V-twins are known to run a little bit hot. At least my old Panigale did. Yeah, lovely looking bike, but I'm expecting it'll be uncomfortable. Maybe I'll have a little go on one and see, but a beauty. Definitely one to look back at in the garage, but I suspect it's more of a garage queen than an actual rider. All right, next up, talking of Panigale, the sweet spot. Our 35 brake horsepower, power reduction, and 17 kilogram weight loss made Ducati's V2 the ultimate super sport. So yeah, they've basically, this caused a lot of fuss when it came out, didn't it? Because it's down on power over the outgoing Panigale V2. And basically it's got the new engine in it that's also going in the multi-strider. I think that's the last story. But it's given it a big weight reduction. And again, I've seen a few reviews of people that have ridden this now on track at the launch. And every review has been absolutely glowing. Even my mate Chops borrowed one from his local dealer and said it's amazing. It was right up his street. And I imagine it is. I'm a little disappointed in the looks. It doesn't look quite as nice as even my old 899 that sadly I had to sell last year. Or was it the year before? Which I absolutely was. I mean, it was a classic definition of a garage queen. I loved owning it. You felt special every time you rode it. But by God, it was uncomfortable. This one, I think, could make all the difference. If it's lighter, easier to live with, more comfortable, and all the reviews I've seen say that it is, then this could be the sports bike for me. It is getting expensive, though, for a super sport bike, £16,995. I suspect you get a BMW S1000RR for that, maybe in fairly basic form, but that is a comfortable sports bike. Cruise control and all the rest of it. But this is the first Panigale to get a fuel gauge, so that's good news, isn't it? Let me read you some of the highlights here. It says here, Ducati reckon the latest 16995 Panigale V2 can lap a track just as fast as the old one, despite being 35 brake horsepower down. It's 17 kilograms lighter, more agile, friendlier power, and racy chassis that digs in the harder you push it. 118 brake horsepower shouldn't be sniffed at. It's precisely because it doesn't have insane amounts of power that the Panigale V2 is so friendly. It might have more in common with the old 113 Supersport 950 on paper, but it's every inch the modern day Supersport bike, from the way it carves through corners, darts to apexes, and in the speed that the new engine spins up. So yeah, really looking forward to having a go on this one as well. So many great bikes out this year. We are spoiled, aren't we, for choice, different varieties of bikes that you can go for. I mean, I've said I don't think it looks as good as the original Panigales. It is still a looker though, isn't it? I mean, it's a nice looking thing, particularly here where they whipped the mirrors and stuff off. Just makes it look great. Slightly not quite as good with the mirrors and indicators, etc. Anyway, Nevesy, hey, he's back. Says here, why 118 brake horsepower is just right. Ducati's new Panigale V2 is a breath of fresh air. It's light, agile, easy to ride, and safe. Well, that sounds good, doesn't it? Some may say 118 brake horsepower isn't enough, but in reality, just the right amount to enjoy on the road or track. It's high bars, reduced engine heat. Mine was an absolute cook, my 899. An all-round specialness should make it a superb road bike too. Although at 17 grand, only the well-heeled need apply. Yes, agreed. Is a bit of an expensive beast, that, isn't it? But a lovely thing nonetheless. Then last story before we get on to. Actually, I seem to have missed the Multistrada V2 for some reason. I thought it was one of these, but maybe not. Must have imagined it. Last story here. Take the high road. Tall rounders offer comfort, speed, and exceptional handling in a single passage. So this is the S1000 XR from BMW. Kawasaki Versys 1100 SE Grand Tourer. I mentioned this because I've got one of those in the garage at the moment. And the Suzuki GSX S1000 GX. Now, these three bikes, I've ridden them all, not necessarily in these latest incarnations. But the S1000 XR, I think, is in a different league to these other bikes. It's in a different league. Well, it's the most expensive. Not that much more than the Kawasaki Versys Grand Tourer, to be fair. 17.5 for the Kawasaki, 18.3 for the S1000 XR TE. I'd take the XR, out of all of these all day long. The XR still suffers a little bit from vibes, but to be honest, so does the Versys a little bit. My review's coming up on that soon, by the way, if you're interested in the Versys. Got some videos coming up on that. And the GSX S1000 GX, nothing wrong with it. I just found it a bit meh. There's something about the looks of it, that long nose, just doesn't really appeal to me. It's an absolutely fine bike to ride. If you like it, fill your boots, go for it. But it just doesn't appeal to me. The Kawasaki Versys I prefer over the Suzuki, but again, there's something about it that it's beautifully built. I mean, the build quality is amazing. The ride's nice, but it is a little bit of vibration there. But for me, the S1000 XR offers such performance and thrill. Not that you necessarily want that on this sort of bike, but it blows the others out of the water for me. Let's see what the verdict was on this one. And this is Jim Moore this time writing. He says, seriously tempting. These three machines show that there's genuine variety in the latest tool-rounder class. BMW's S1000 XRT has a lot going for it. I agree. He says, but it's expensive. Even in base spec, it's 800 more than the top spec Versys. True. There's no getting away from the staggering value of the Suzuki. Not only is it cheaper than the other two, significantly against the BMW, it's also now available in interest-free finance, making monthly PCP payments almost half those of the other two. Yeah, I get that. I'm not a big fan of PCP, but I mean, some people are, so that's fine. But it just doesn't, just looking at the pictures of it, it doesn't do it for me. Yeah, take the XR, I'd say. Anyway, it's good that we've all got different opinions, isn't it? Right, let's get on with a bit of parish notices, shall we? couple of things to report here. Not an awful lot to go through. I suppose that the breaking news, no, it's not particularly breaking news, but one thing I want to let you know is I'm going to take a little bit of a break from the channel. And that doesn't mean to say I'm not going to post any videos. What it means is for a little while, for a short period, I'm going to go down to 1 video a week rather than 2. Sometimes I post 3. So I'm going to go down to 1 video a week for probably a couple of months. They're going to be going up on a Saturday morning. They may be interspersed with the odd additional one as well, of which more in a moment. So that's the first thing. So don't be surprised that the Wednesday videos will stop for a little bit. I'm just taking a little bit of a break from YouTube for a while. Next thing I want to mention, ABR Festival. If you're going along to that, they're all those sort of initial discount deals are all over now. If you want to get a tenner off, they've given me a code TMF10. It's in the links below. TMF10 for a tenner off your ABR tickets. If you haven't bought tickets yet, you probably have. If you're the sort of person that goes every year, you will have bought the tickets by now on one of the bigger discounts. I know lots of other YouTubers have got discounts as well. People that are going and giving talks and stuff. I would of course be there doing my usual thing. Possibly, I'm thinking this is the last time I'm going to go to ABR for a little while. I've been, I think, to the last 5 on the trot. Fantastic festival. I really enjoy it. But for me, it's right in the middle of summer, a point in time when actually I might want to be doing something else. So next year I may do that. So if you've missed out on going to ABR and you fancy a chat with me, I'm not saying you will, but if you want to, then this might be the last year that I'm going along for a little while. I'm sure I'll be back in the future because it is undoubtedly the best bike festival out there as far as I'm concerned. And they've got some great people this year. Adam Nyman, again, Ryman Nyman. I don't actually watch his stuff, sorry, Adam. Itchy Boots, of course. Always amazing watching Norley on the screen and on her talk. She's been at ABR before, brought in a massive crowd, so she'll do well again this year, I'm sure. And I'm actually most looking forward to meeting Tim Rodey as well, from Tim Rodey Rides Bikes. So looking forward to meeting you, Tim, at the ABR Festival. Anyway, so that's enough about that. Coming up on the video, I've got my final video from our Spain sojourn. What a fantastic time we had there. The sun was out. I mean, it was January into February, and the riding was amazing. If you haven't seen any of those videos and you just want a little bit of sunshine in your life, go and check them out. Really good. So good, in fact, I've already booked up my time to go back there next year for slightly longer. I've got the Kawasaki Versys final rider video coming up, the 1100 I mentioned I've got in the garage. I've got my final thoughts on the Hornet as well, which is, let's face it, one of the most hotly anticipated bikes of this year. Lots of videos going up on YouTube and elsewhere on the Hornet, and my final one's going up soon on that. And also, I'm probably going to sneak in, if I can, 1 or 2 live streams. Now, I've done these in the past. They don't always get massive views because, unfortunately, YouTube used to post them into your channel in the normal videos, and you'd get to see them in my feed. You didn't have to go looking for them. It doesn't do that anymore. It puts them in the live tab. So where I've done these of late, it just goes in the live tab. People don't necessarily know that I've done it unless you're watching it live at the time. So if you missed the last one, we tried something new. I'm trying to think, who did we have on there? We had Dave from Really Good TV and Bruce Teapot1, and we did a live phone-in, which was hilarious. Didn't quite have my head around the technology. I've improved it since then. So what I want to do is have another go at a live phone-in with some other special guests. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If I do them, they're likely to be on a Friday evening at 8 o'clock, or maybe I'll do them in the week. I mean, if it's a dark, dismal day, and you know, I've had a light day, I might do one. But I've got a few people in mind. I haven't asked them yet, some YouTubers that you and I both know and love, that I thought, who I haven't had yet on the podcast. I thought, get them on, sorry, the live stream, get them on the live stream, get the phone in going, and let's get your comments coming in live and see how that goes. So look out for those. I will put notifications on my Instagram and on my Facebook. If you don't follow me on those, please do so. I no longer use Twitter for various reasons, some political. Let's not go into that. But yeah, I'll notify on Instagram, Facebook, and indeed on the community thing on YouTube. If you're subscribed to that, that I'm going to do one of these live streams. Might even get Mrs. Fly roped in as well. I don't know. I've got 2 mics. I might as well use them. So yeah, that might be coming up too as well. Anyway, God, I waffled on a bit there. All right, let's hope the weather improves soon. Let's hope we all get out on the bikes this coming weekend. Do enjoy yourselves if so, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Mist and Fly. Cheerio. Hey kids, it's Mist and Fly here. Hope you're well, and welcome back to Bike News, the weekly. Hey kids, it's Mist and Fly here. Hope you're well, and welcome back to the next edition of Bike News. This time, let's do that again.